Hello, here we are, and we are looking at the app called, well, let's see what it's called. It's Lesson 8 of Unit 6, and it's called Loops Make. The app is called the Lock Screen Maker app. So this is basically making a lock screen, an animated lock screen. Well, it's not animated, it's just a kind of random lock screen. When you press run, you'll see that it makes this interesting pattern. This time when I ran it, it made lots of planets. If I reset it and run again, it makes a bunch of music notes. Run it again. Music notes, different colors, scattered different places. And you can also just click colors to change the colors. Ooh, and it makes a noise. And you can click on locations. And you can also click on shapes. Boy, that is really loud, that system noise. I'll try to edit that out for you if possible. So anyway, if you are just interested in seeing what the code looks like when it's done, then you can fast forward to the end of the video. I'm going to be talking as much as possible through this video. That is like my #1 guarantee. So if you are interested in hearing how to work through this sort of a problem, then this is the place for you. If you're not interested in hearing how to work through it, then you can fast forward or skip ahead or find a different video which might be more to your liking. But the whole purpose of this video is to go through it in real time, no cuts, no edits, how to build this app from scratch basically. We already can see what it's doing here, and if we reset it, we can see that it's kind of a very simple app. It just has a bunch of blank icons that were probably just copied and pasted, and they were named icon 0 through icon 19. So there's 20 of them altogether since they're numbered 0 through 19. That immediately makes me think of a list that has index 0 through 19. And so I'm pretty sure we're going to need to use a list because this is the chapter we're in. We are this unit, and we're also probably going to use, of course, our conditional statements. We'll probably use some event blocks. We'll have to have an event block for colors, locations, and shapes. It looks like when we click run, the whole thing runs all at once. We even have a background color there. And our colors have transparency. They seem to be randomly selected. So there's lots of loops in here as well, as it mentions. So again, if you are only interested in seeing the final solution, just fast forward to the end. But if you want to walk through it and see exactly how a person who is familiar with the coding would go about solving this, coding this, then follow along with me. So if you are following along like one window next to the other window, you can go ahead and click finish and then continue, and you'll go on to your loops make. Now I'm going to stretch my screen. I'm recording at high D or HD 1280p, but that doesn't leave me a ton of space and still keep things large. If you click on design view and then you click on that first icon at the top left, you'll see it just says icon 0, and you can kind of see they're probably just copied and pasted icon 1, icon 3. I mean they're so close to each other I can't quite click them all. But there's also a list over here. It shows all the icons 1 through 19, 0 through 19, also the home screen and everything else that's on there, the 3 buttons basically. Okay, so there are some instructions at the top here. You're meant to build the Lock Screen Maker app. You can use your activity guide, which your teacher could share online or have printed for you. And when you're done, make sure to submit your work. So there will be a submit button at the bottom. There is a little checklist here, which can be helpful, so you can earn all your points. In other words, get the app working successfully. Clearly, you're going to have some input from the 3 apps there, the 3 buttons. So your 3 events there. And let's see, we've got variables. Clearly we're going to have some variables, probably some lists as well. Some loops, definitely some loops, because if we're repeating this again and again and again for 20 different icons, then we're going to have a loop. And we're going to have our output, our 3 buttons are working, and the code runs without errors, and there's some comments in there. Okay, so going back to code view, let's see what we're given to start with. It says list of icons to randomly choose between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If we type icons list down here and we run it, it's going to give us a list of the icons. There they are. And so that would be like index 0, index 1, index 2, index 3. So the first thing your program probably has to do is select from one of these. And so we could have, let's see, create a variable, and that variable could hold whichever, actually, would we really need to save what one icon is? Let's kind of think about this a little bit. Okay, if we reset it, we've got all these icons here. We want these icons first to change into one of those 8 choices. Then we want to change their color to each a different color. And then we want to scatter them on the screen. And we also want to change their sizes, so their sizes are different. And that was that in shapes where they changed sizes also? Let me see real quick. So if we run the original program and we click shapes, it also has a sound there, which I have my volume up very high. Oh, shapes. I don't think shapes is changing the size. It's not. The sizes are the same. How about locations? Well, locations are definitely changing the locations. Might be changing the size also. Colors. That's just changing the colors. I think when it runs, it does the random size, and then the shapes, locations, and colors just do shapes, locations, and colors. So let's go back. I really want the run button to work. I know we're going to need 3 on events, 1 for each of these. It's giving us functions here, so we're probably meant to use functions. We probably are supposed to have a function for color, location, and shapes. Okay, so again, we're trying to think through this app before we start to code. We want to kind of think through it. If you just want to see the solution, just go to the end and you can see the solution. But if you want to figure out how to approach a problem like this, then continue to listen. All right, I'm going to close the little instructions box there because we already read that. I'm going to close the little debug console, so we have a little space here. I'm going to do a control minus to make this a little smaller, so I have a little more space for coding lines. All right. How about if we just try to select a random one of these and change all of these to that random thing? So how are we going to do that? I still think we could make a variable. Now there's probably lots of ways to do this. Some ways are going to be better, some ways are not going to be better. So we could just call it icon. And I want this icon to be randomly selected, random number, and the number would have to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7, so that would be 0, 7. Okay, this is not going to work though because we're going to have to call the icons list. I often do this. I like write the random number thing, and then I realize, oh, but I've got to put that into our list. So in front of the letter R for random, we need icons list, and then we need a square bracket between the T and the R, and we need another square bracket at the end after the parenthesis. So it should look like this. So what this is going to do, it's going to first do the random number. It's going to get a random number between 0 and 7. Then it's going to go to the icon list, and let's say it chose 3. It's going to find item 3, 0, 1, 2, 3. That would be the globe. and it's going to copy that icon name into the variable called icon. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to change each of these into whatever that is. So we're going to need a loop, and that loop is going to need to repeat 20 times. So where are our loops? That would be in control. We could either use a while loop or a for loop. The for loop is a little bit quicker, but it's a little bit, you have to read it a little bit more. So we'll use the for loop. So what the for loop does, let me see if I can scroll this up. I'm going to click show text and hit a bunch of blank lines just so I can scroll up and down easily. See how I can scroll up and down now like that? Why doesn't it like this? Because icon is not called yet, right? Okay, so here we have a little loop. The loop is going to start with a variable called I, that's our index. It starts at 0. Every time we do the loop, we're going to add 1. And we're just going to keep repeating as long as I is less than 4. But once I is no longer less than 4, then we're going to jump out of the loop. But we want it to loop 20 times, so we're going to change that to 20. And what we want it to do is we want it to set each of these icons. Now these icons are named icon 0, icon 1, icon 2. So we can use our I is 0, I is 1, I is 2 to do this. And this is a pattern that we learned in a different exercise earlier, a few lessons ago. Okay, so how are we going to do that? We need to set property for each one of these. So we're going to grab a set property, and we want to set property, and here's the little thing that we saw before. So we're going to type the word icon inside quotes, then on the outside of the quotes, touching the quote, a plus, and then I. Okay? So the first time it goes through, it's going to do icon 0. The second time it goes through, it's going to do icon 1. The third time it's through, it's going to do icon 2, all the way up to icon 19. And then it'll add one more, it'll get 20. 20 is less than 20 will be false, and so it will not run this then. Okay, so we want to change the icon. Let's see, would that be not the width, text color, border, font family, text alignment, hidden text, placeholder, image. We want to change the image, and we want to change it to whatever we grabbed in icon up here. All right. So whenever you're coding, you should test it as often as possible. Like you should run it. I mean, sometimes I'll run it even when I know it's not going to work, just to see if it does anything. Okay, look, it selected the moon. I wonder if we can see. Yeah, we can see what icon is. So icon is the moon right now, and it made every single one into a moon. Okay, let's reset it, run it again. It made them all into globes. You can see the icon randomly picked out globe. Reset it, run it again. Got the moon again, a star this time. Okay, so that's kind of step one, right? We changed all of them into an icon and they're all the same. Okay, so what's the next thing we need to do? Well, we need to change the color of every one and the size of every one. So we can do that as part of this loop. So let's do set property. What should we do first? Like, I think we should do the size next. So we can again use icon I. So first it'll do icon 0, then it'll do icon 1, then icon 2, all the way up to icon 19. We want to change the, what did I say? Did I say the size? Yeah, I think the size. Well, it looks like we have a height and a width. So we'll need two separate lines. We can do one for width and one for height. And we want that to be random also, like their sizes, their width and their height, we want that to be random. But we want, let's add another set property here. Actually, we should just copy and paste the one we have above there, I guess. If you highlight like this, like from the corner, you drag a square or a rectangle, and then Control C on your keyboard, and then up down arrow until you're like right here underneath between line 13 and 14, then Control V as in victory for paste, and then we can just change it to width. Okay, so right now it's going to change them all to 100, 100. We can reset it, run it. Oh, what did happen? Oh, I put icon +1 instead of I. Interesting. See, this is why we run it often, because that way we can pick up on these little bugs right away. Why do I have it width for both of them? I should have width for one and height for the other. Okay, reset, run. Oh, there we go. That was a bunch of music notes, a bunch of stars. They're all black though. They need a bunch of hearts. But we want it to be random size, so we need to grab one of these randoms. 100 looks a little bit big, so let's say, where's our randoms? Those are in the math block at the bottom. And we're going to grab a random number, put it in for the 100, and another random number and put it in for the other 100. No, we don't want to do that. We don't want them to be different random numbers, do we? So we want it to use the same random number. So that means we need to use a variable. So we're going to make the variable, we're going to set it just before that. We're going to make the variable a random number. We can call the variable size, and then we can just change it to size here. We can get rid of that block, change it to size here. And then let's run it and see what happens. Ooh, very small. Why is it so small? Well, it's so small because our size is between 1 and 10 pixels. So I think 10 is pretty small. Let's go from like 30 to 100 and see how that works. I think from side to side the screen is either 200 or 300, and from top to bottom it's like 300 or 400. So that looks better. Okay. At least they look different sizes. I think we could go even bigger, like to 150. Really? Oh, that doesn't look bad. We really need, I think, even going larger, like 200. Like maybe 20 to 200. That way the smallest one and the biggest one are 10 times different in size. Okay. We need to move these around on the screen. We also need to change their color. I really want to change their color first, but I know that coding is a little bit trickier. So let's move their size, their positions. So that's also on events. Oops, not on events. Get set properties. Sorry. So we're going to need two set properties. And again, we're just doing the same loop. So we're going to do icon I again, quote icon, quote plus I this time. Icon. Wait, what's it doing there? Oh, it was trying to grab one that's in the list already. And somehow I jumped into the wrong box. All right, I'm gonna start again on that set property. So in the ID box, quote icon, quote plus I. Okay, we want to change our X position and our Y position. And we could change both of those randomly. We don't just want to put them both at 100 because then it'll just stack them all. They're different sizes, but they're all stacked at 100, 100. So that's not very interesting, especially without the color yet. So let's put in, instead of 100 and 100, let's put in some random numbers for each one. So go ahead and replace each one with random number. I'm going to close my toolbox for a moment. And let's see, our x, that would be, I think x starts at 0 at the top left and goes to 200. So I'm going to try 0 and 200. And then run it and see how it looks. It doesn't look bad. And then from y coordinate, that would be from top to bottom. I think it's 0 to 300. I'm not sure about that. That would be something we could check later. Oh, I like that one. Okay, definitely need to change the colors though. Okay, so how do we change the color? Another set property. We just need to do the same thing, but this time with colors. Okay, set property. So we need to change the color of each one to a random color. So this is just a little bit tricky. Oops, I almost added the +1 again. This is a little bit tricky because a random color, colors have actually 3 components. They have the red, the green, and the blue. So we're going to need to do RGB. So you type RGB. And then we need like the red, comma, the green, comma, and the blue. So this is going to make a gray, 100, 100, 100. So I'm going to reset that and run it. Actually, it doesn't. What did we do wrong? RGB. Oh, did I write RGBA? Is it supposed to be RGBA? Oh, I need to set the color. Background color, text color. Okay, let's try that. RGB, oops, Control Z, undo. I'm thankful for Control Z. RGB, parenthesis, 100, 100, 100. It looks like it got it. Reset, run. Still having an issue. There's no property named text color. We don't want text color, we want icon color. So icon color, there it is. And it changed the color back to red. Let's just run it and see if it changes them all red. Oh, yep, they're all red. Okay. So RGB 100, 100, 100. That should change them all gray. Reset, run. Yay. Okay, so they're all gray. But we want to have a random value for the red, a random value for the green, and a random value for the blue. So we're going to have 3 randoms in a row. Random for the green, the red, random for the green, random for the blue. That's going to make this look like really long, but that's okay. We can do it. So random number. I don't really have enough space to do this. I guess I can do Control minus a couple times. I apologize if this is super small for you to see. So I'm going to replace the 100s starting from the right and moving to the left. I'm going to replace them each with a random number. I'm going to close this toolbox so you can see there's like 3 random numbers here. Now the values, the values for the intensity of each color, the red is the first one, anywhere from 0 to 255. So again, this should have been in a lesson that you already did earlier, many lessons ago, so could be months ago. I'm changing each one from 0 to 255. I guess I could have found a way to copy and paste that, but I guess I could have done that like in a separate line above to like make a variable that was called color. Wonder if I should do that just to make the coding easier to read. I think so. Can I do that? Okay, variable. Just going to call it color. And I'm going to try to grab this RGB block and move it there. And then I'm just going to change this to color. And then I can zoom it up a little bit. Oop. Okay, so I like this better. So we're going to have a variable called color. It's going to get random numbers for the red, the green, and the blue. It's going to assign it to color. And then we're going to take that color and we're going to change the icons. And every time we go through the loop, we're going to get a new random color. I'm declaring these variables inside the loop, so they're only going to work inside the loop. I could just as easily declare them outside the loop, and in fact might do that later, but we'll see. Oh, not bad, not bad at all. Okay, so it's making a random color for each one. It's moving them different positions. Oh, I like this one, whatever that is, the bolt. One thing I noticed though, if you were really observant when we practiced the program, the colors were transparent. And the way you make the colors transparent is you add one more parameter to this RGB. And the parameter is like the transparency level. So if you click on the little right arrow to the right hand side of this, it'll give you a little box. And 0.5 will make it, each color will be like half transparent. And then you can click out of that, reset it, and run it. See how they're transparent like that? I don't know if that's exactly the transparency level of the app, the original app, but it's pretty close. Okay, what else do we need to do here? We also need to change the background color. So how are we going to do that? We would only need to do that one time, not every time we go through the loop. So we should do that after the loop. We can set the property, set property for the background, but then we're going to have to choose the random color again. Okay, so the home screen, we want the background color of the home screen to change. And I wonder if I can copy and paste that code so I don't have to repeat typing it down here. I can if I go to show text. So if I go to show text on line 18, if I highlight all of this, I know that's a lot. That's all the way from RGB to the last parenthesis. And then if I do a copy C, I go down to line 21. I'm going to get rid of the red, which is in quotes. And then I'm going to do a Control V to paste. And then I'm going to go back to block view. I could also just type that all in. Okay, I'm going to reset it and run it. Okay, random background color. I don't think the background color's got that dark though. That's pretty dark. So dark would be like all zeros would make a dark background. So for that background color, let's make the minimum value, instead of 0, like 100 for each of those. The red, the green, and the blue. Alright, let's reset it, run it. Okay, it's got like a light pink, white yellow. Okay, so far so good. Now, we may end up modifying this program quite a bit because if we're going to have 3 different buttons that are each on events, and it's allowing us to use functions for stuff, we already have all the code we need, but can we make this into functions? Can we make like a colors function that just does the colors? Can we make a locations function that just does locations, and a shapes function that just does the shapes? And I think the sizes are set at the beginning all on their own. So let's see if we can make a function just for, we'll just start to the left, the colors. So we're going to create a function. We can call the functions set colors, like that. And then what code could we drag down into that? I think line 18 and 19, that's how we're setting the colors, right? So if we drag line 18 down into the function, it becomes line 22. And then if we also pull down line 18, yes. But we need that to loop, and we need it to loop 20 times. And then we also need to call set colors inside the loop. So let's put our set colors in this beginning loop, set colors. We got set colors down here, but we need this to loop 20 times. I mean, we can run it right now. Wait, it did run 20 times because it's already in a loop. Well, perfect. I don't know if that's what we want it to do ultimately, because we want this colors button to work. All right, let's see if we can get the colors button working. So go to, is that control? That's UI, right? On event. Okay, let's grab an on event. I suppose we can just put it below the function for now. We're going to pull the on event down. On the event that someone clicks on the color button, so if they click on the color button, then we want to run set colors, which is the function. Function set colors, but it's only going to loop one time, right? It's not even going to know what I is. Reset, run, colors. Yeah, so colors, set colors. We need to put the loop in here. Okay, let's grab the set colors on line 18, take it out of that loop. So it's just calling set colors once when we run the program. It also will call it once each time we click the button. But that means inside set colors we need that loop. We need the same loop as we had up above. So we can go to control, we can grab a for loop, we can put it in between 21 and 22. We can drag where we select a color randomly, and then we go through the icons one at a time. Let's run it and see what happens. It only looks like a few of them are changed, and that's because we didn't loop it 20 times. We need to loop it 20 times. Reset, run. There we go. Now is this button going to work? It does. Okay. So we should also have a function for location. So every time we tap locations, that it updates. I think the rest of our coding is going to be kind of doing similar patterns here. So I'm going to take a little pause, and then when I come back, we're going to work on that. Now, if you want to try to do the other buttons on your own, of course you're welcome to. You don't have to watch this whole video. And just a reminder, this is just one way of solving this. There are multiple different ways you could solve the same problem, and everybody's solution is going to look a little bit different, but there's going to be some similarities. I mentioned earlier people could use a while loop instead of a for loop.